All right, so this is lesson 8.6, solving rational equations. So in my mind, this is a lot easier than adding and subtracting. You still do some similar things, but that denominator ends up canceling out, which is really nice because then we wind up with a basically just equation that's fractionless that we can solve. So that's basically all that this says up here. So let's go ahead and look at our goal. So goal is to eliminate the denominator. So if we kind of look, after we simplify, factor out the denominator, we look to see what the biggest or most factors are, and that is what we're going to multiply every single thing on the top by. You can see in red here. So what that'll do is that'll cancel it, as we see in green. Most of the time it will cancel everything, but oh, there's a 2 left there. So that just means that we didn't get everything, so we're going to then multiply everything by 2. So we're just going to add a little 2 in the front there. So that cancels that, and then we're going to simplify the numerators. So what's left is 7 times x plus 3. Here is 2 times x plus 1, and then here is 3 times 2 times x plus 3. So all we do is simplify that, keeping the addition, keeping the equal sign, and then we just wind up with a two-step equation that we can solve. So it's really not too bad. The only hard part I would say is that first part of figuring out, well, what to multiply by, and then actually following through and making sure things cancel and keeping it kind of organized. So let's take a look at this first step. We only have one fraction here, and that's the denominator here of x. So that's what we multiply by. And remember, we multiply everything. So that's going to be an x squared. These x's cancel. So we're left with a minus 18 equals 3x. That's an 8. There we go. So what if you get an x squared in your equation? How do we solve that? Well, we are going to have a quadratic equation then. So we get one side equal to 0, and then we factor and we solve. So for this one, we are going to subtract that 3x, and we get it equal to 0. And then we're going to solve. So, factor and solve. So when we set those parts equal to 0, let's see, factors of negative 18 that add to get 3 would be 6 and 3, and we make our 6 negative and our 3 positive. So then we set each of those equal to 0, and we get 6, and we get negative 3 when we solve. So coming over here, when we have a little something bigger, we have the factoring first, so we could take out an m. So it's m minus 6, take out an m minus 6. So we already have an m minus 6 here, so we look for the biggest thing. Well, that's the m times m minus 6. So that's what we're going to multiply on every single thing, is the biggest set of factors. So that's on the top, every single thing. And then we're going to go through and we're going to cancel out those things that cancel. And we're just looking at the fractions here. We're just looking to cancel. So that cancels that. That cancels that. And then here, just an m minus 6 is what cancels. So what we now have would be a 1 plus, left on top here is a 2m minus 8 equals, and then we have an m. So now combine like terms on the left, and then finish solving. You could subtract the 2m here. So negative 7 equals negative m, divide by negative 1. So m equals 7. Oops. And then you could always plug it back in to check. So what I want you to do is the next one. Actually, let's do C, and then I'll have you do D on your own. So one more for good measure. And we are going to multiply by 3 minus x on 3 minus x, because we can't factor that. 3 minus x. And then we are going to cancel out. But notice there's still a 24. So I don't want that. So that means I'm going to multiply on the top as well. Put a 24 up there. So now we can cancel the 24. The 24 over 4 cancels, but that leaves... All right, so let's go ahead and bring down what we have. So we've got, whoops, I don't want that. Oh no, run away. Okay, how do I get rid of this thing? Cut. Oh goodness. I don't know how to do that. There we go. Sorry. Okay, so let's go ahead and check and bring down our stuff that we've got here. So what's left? 5. 3 minus x plus 24 times 2, which we could go ahead and just multiply in 48, and then equals, and we have a 6 times 3 minus x. So we're going to go ahead and distribute, and we get 15 minus 5x plus 48 equals 18 minus 6x, and then we're going to combine like terms and continue to solve. So we wind up with negative 5x plus 63 equals 18 minus 6x. Let's add that 6x. Get it away there. So we have x plus 63 equals 18 minus 63, so x equals 45. So try that next one, D, on your own. Remember to multiply by the biggest thing, but first factor. So factor this shortcut method, then figure out, multiply those two factors on the top of everything and simplify. All right, so let's check your first step. Hopefully you're multiplying by an m plus 2 and an m plus 6 on the top of every single thing here, and that is going to then cancel these things. So then you're going to write that you have an m minus 1 equal to a 2 times m plus 6. Make sure that's in parentheses so you don't forget to distribute, plus 5. So now distribute, solve for m. All right, so distributing, combining like terms, and then solving should get negative 18 for your answer. So last two that we're going to talk about, because this last page is just some extra examples, is what if we get the extraneous solutions? So that's the ones where we wind up, we think it's a solution, it's masquerading as one, but then when we think about it or plug it back in, that's going to give us 0 for that denominator, and we can't have that because that would not be correct. So we're going to undo by multiplying by that denominator. And then we are going to have a 5x equals 3x plus 4, and we're going to solve. So 2x equals 4, which then divides by 2 to get x equals 2. And so we think, oh, we got it. But if we plug it back in, that gives us 0 for a denominator. We can't divide by 0. Because that would give us 10 over 2 minus 2, which is 0. And no, that's not okay. So that's not, it's just an extraneous solution. So we do need to check that out after we think we've got our answer. So let's take a look at this last one. And I really want you to try this one on your own. So the first step, if you need help, multiply every single thing by x minus 8 on the top there. So then that would cancel. And then you'll notice, uh-oh, that's not going to be everything because we still have a 2, so go back and multiply on the top everything by 2 as well. And then simplify, solve, and then we'll check when you're ready. So here's that first step. I want you to check that out first just to see if you have got your thing correct before you start solving, or if you have already started solving, to go back and check this initial step here. So that these cancel, we have a 2 and a 2x minus 5, that needs distributed. And then the 2's cancel here, so we have an x and an x minus 8, that needs to be distributed. And then here, these cancel, so it's just 11 times 2, or 22. So distribute, solve if you haven't already, and then check. All right, so let's go ahead and see how you did. So distributing, combining like terms, getting that 22 back over here so that it equals 0, and then we can factor. Factors of negative 32 that add to get negative 4 are negative 8 and positive 4. So setting each part equal to 0, we get 8 and negative 4. So plugging it back in, or looking at the bottom here, if we plug in an 8, that would give us 0. So 8 is the extraneous solution. If you want to try a few more examples, there's a few more on the next page for you.